Everything's going up. Utilities and food, drink, everything's going up. And that's compounded when of course you have a kid who's growing up.
Most of us wouldn't trade them for the world, but if you have kids, you'll know they can certainly be expensive. And the cost of raising them is rising every year.
200,000 if you include like holidays, the extra expense for holidays.
Dad of one, Simon Levi, admits he's a soft touch and rarely says no to his 9-year-old Braden. A numbers man, he estimates to get his son to 18, it's going to cost him north of $500,000, with $200,000 already spent.
He's eating like an adult really now, so there's 3 of us in the family. So costs have gone up 25 to 30%, 1/3.
From birth to 17, it costs a medium-sized family or a middle-income family about $297,000 to raise that child.
According to Compare the Market's Rod Attrell, costs have skyrocketed in the past decade.
Probably the most concerning thing is whilst the cost has gone up 45%, wages have only gone up 23%.
One of the key factors is expectations are now higher.
One thing I do notice is the birthday parties. So everybody wants to have one of the best birthday parties.
And generally families with more money spend more. If you choose a private education, costs can blow out dramatically.
Going to a state school, our studies have found that it's about $66,000, but to go to a private school and to make that choice, it's upwards of $475,000 to educate that child.
But the biggest kid bill shock for most families is childcare.
32% of people didn't understand how much childcare costs.
And on top of that, with 72% of families reporting they lose a wage when one member takes time off work to raise the kids.
I know myself, I went and got a job when my boys were little for only a couple of months, and after a fortnight I was only $10 better off for working, so I let it go. It's insanity.
It was the cost of childcare that set stay-at-home mum blogger Jodie Allen on her journey 9 years ago to setting up the online magazine Stay at Home Mum.
It's an insane amount of money when you can be bringing them up yourself.
And don't get her started on private school fees.
In the public system, they absolutely thrived. They had better teachers, they had better access to programs. It was fantastic.
And the research agrees.
If you send your child to a private school, the education, and there's been a lot of studies in the last few years, may not necessarily be better because it's the application of the child.
According to the Compare the Market survey, for 60% of people, cost is the #1 deciding factor in the size of their family. 30% of people said if they could have, they would have had more children, and 8% wished they had less.
I wonder if that's because of the kids or because of the cost.
You never know. It depends on how the kids are. Maybe it's the cost, maybe it's the kids.
But Rod says there are a host of schemes to help mitigate the financial damage. While many people realise private schools offer scholarships, the government offers grants to students attending state schools that can help pay for books, uniforms and excursions.
That can save a lot of dollars.
Simon estimates Braden's love of cricket is costing him at least $1,000 a year.
That's quite an expensive sport. There's a lot of equipment to buy.
Other savings tips to come out of the survey were buying second-hand uniforms, bulk buy food, take advantage of kids' discounts and carpool. Transport costs are one of the biggest unthought of expenses. But despite the huge financial impost, Simon says it's the best thing he's ever done.
Oh, of course. It's great to have a kid, and when we're always outdoors and playing and hiking and playing cricket, and that's just great. Yeah, it's absolutely worth it.